Hi everyone, so I'm still in the middle of my really big move. Right now is like a really tough and stressful time. I feel like every day like a new problem arises and I'm just like constantly like stressed. Yesterday was the last day of my 5 weeks of vacation. I'm going back to work on Monday. Then I have 2 weeks of work and then I have a few days before my flight. So I'm gonna be staying in an Airbnb for a little while. So if you're new here, I've been living in South Korea for the last 5 years. It's basically been my entire adult life. And now I'm planning to come back to Australia. So I want to do a couple of videos talking about things that I don't like and things that I do like about Korea. So I'm going to be starting off with the things that I don't like that much. I hope it doesn't sound too negative. You know, I really love living in Korea. I love Korea itself. There's it's such a great country, but like every country, there are things that are just not very good, things that aren't perfect. Even my own country, I love Australia. I love living in Australia. It's the only place I wanna like live for the rest of my life. But there are issues, there are problems. So yeah, as much as you can love something, you can also acknowledge things that are not so good as well. So yeah, just trying to make a disclaimer. I do love Korea. There aren't things that it's not a bad country. There are just aspects to it that aren't so good. So today I'm going to talk about things that I really won't miss in Korea, and then next week I'm going to speak about things that I will miss. First thing that I'm not going to miss is the trash situation. It's kind of weird. I think like you don't really notice this that much unless you live here, because they don't really do this in places that tourists usually go. But when you take out your trash here, you kind of just like there's like two ways. If you live in an apartment building, you'll usually have like this massive like what do you call it? I'm losing a lot of English words. Like it's like a large like trash bin, and you just put all your bags in there. Like the entire apartment building puts their stuff in there. But then once it gets overfilled, you start putting it on the side. You know, when it's like time for collection, that's gonna get put on the road in front of your building, and all like the excess bags are gonna be sitting next to it. And if you live in a place where I live, on my street it's just full of like restaurants and hotels, restaurants and bars and stuff like that. So especially in the morning, especially after like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, on the street in the morning it's just filled with garbage bags, and there's always like bin juice all over the footpath, and you can just smell garbage. Like when I walk to the station on a work morning, I just smell garbage, and it's horrible. You don't really see it as much on the main streets, but if you live like on the back streets, the streets where the garbage trucks drive, then it's just there. And it's the same streets where like you gotta walk, and it's horrible because I live on this street. So I'm always walking around garbage trying to get home. I just put up with it, but I'm glad that I'm not gonna have to put up with that anymore. Second thing I'm not gonna miss is the massive crowds like everywhere. It's really crazy because like we do tend to have crowds in Australia too, but it's nothing like Korea. Literally every place is crowded. It's pretty crazy. I mean, if you're in the countryside, probably not as bad, but I'm not in the countryside. I'm in Seoul, so in Seoul, pretty much everywhere you go, it's crowded. Every time like you have this good idea of like some activity you want to do, something you want to do, you're always gonna have to wait in line. You're always gonna have to like do it among like hundreds of other people. It's kind of suffocating. Generally, I still tend to do things I want to do regardless of crowds. But you know, during COVID, it was especially concerning because sometimes I want to go do something, but then there's a lot of people there, and you don't want to be in a place that's so crowded during a pandemic. So a lot of things I had to like kind of and there's even times where like, you know, me or some of my friends will want to go home before rush hour because being on the subway during rush hour here is torture. Literally, like you can't move. You're wedged between people. I remember there are times where I was so squished that I couldn't pick up my hand to like check my phone. It's so insanely crowded here. Next thing that I'm not gonna miss, this one's gonna be on both lists I think, because I'm gonna miss it and I'm not gonna miss it for different reasons. So I'm not gonna miss the shopping. And This one, I actually love shopping so much, and I love shopping here. Shopping here is actually pretty good. Just this one aspect I hate so much. When you go shopping here, staff will just follow you around, and it's so freaking annoying. Like, you, especially in skincare shops, if you, as soon as you enter, one of the staff will just like latch onto you, and then they just follow you around the store. Every time you like grab something, they'll start like telling you information about it. And it's like, like, just let me read it. And sometimes they start giving me recommendations where I didn't ask for it, you know. And it's kind of annoying having someone like watching you. And it's not for the reason that Westerners might think. It's not for the, you know, they might think that we're stealing something or something like that. It's like that's how customer service is apparently. Like, I think that was like an old form of customer service that they still keep. So you can't actually blame the staff for this, unfortunately. I used to like get really angry at the staff, but I mean, I didn't actually show my anger to them. I used to just get internally angry at them and then leave the store and just not shop when they're acting like that. But actually I found out it's because their boss forces them to act like that, and if they don't, they can get fired. So I feel really bad for them because they're basically forced to pester customers, otherwise they get fired, which sucks. And it sucks for customers too. So like there's been so many times where like I enter a store, someone starts following me around, and then I get really like anxious, and then I just leave. And like, even though I'm like interested in looking at stuff, it sucks. And then I hate that like they keep asking me like what I'm looking for, or like they keep like suggesting different things to me. It's like, I don't want that. Even if I say no, sometimes they keep there's been a few times where I keep saying no and they just keep trying. A lot of the times like I can just ignore them or say no, or tell them like, you know, I'm fine, and then they will just like leave me alone. But there have been several times where I keep saying no and they just don't stop. And then when I'm trying to walk out, they're like, oh, where are you going, or why are you leaving? And it's just like, are you serious? The worst of this is not even like skincare shops. You know, if I can just leave and go to a different one, there's like a million of them here. The worst of this is in the supermarket. Why do you need to like suggest stuff to me in the supermarket? It's so annoying. Like, okay, so like the thing that gets me the most is when I want to buy tofu here, because I like eating tofu. I eat a lot of it. I don't know why, but at my local supermarket, I don't know about the other ones. I don't know if anyone else's local supermarket has it here, but the tofu section, so like the fridge section is like pretty long because there's a lot of like fridge goods, and one section of the fridge section is tofu, and on both sides of it there's like an old lady on both sides doing like some like taste testing, what do you call it, samples. So they have like some sauce that you can dip the tofu in and just to try out the tofu, and there's one on both sides, and as soon as you start like, you glance over at the tofu, they start grabbing tofu and like handing it to you, and it's just like, I just want to look at them, and then they start recommending different ones. They're like, oh, this one's really delicious. I'm like, how do you know? And then I just don't like how they just start handing tofu to me. Like, I don't know if I want that one. I want to look at all the different ones and see if it's the one that I want. And they don't know like what I'm making, so they don't know which kind of tofu I want. Oh, it's so frustrating. I don't know, but like, I get like, when I'm really stressed, because I like to cook like really complicated recipes when I get like stressed, because like cooking kind of soothes me. And going shopping, I enjoy buying the ingredients too. And them doing this, especially if I'm like really stressed, they're kind of it's just kind of like, it's really bad, and I can't blame them for this. But at the same time, when they're being so pushy and I'm really stressed, like I can't help like my getting really emotional about it. And then the other time recently was when like I was trying to buy some like packaged soup, because I was trying to have like a lazy day that wasn't like so unhealthy. So I tried to buy some packaged soup, and when I went there, it said like if you bought 3, you'd get like 40% off or something. So I was looking for which ones to get, but then that brand had like less options, but I still wanted to get that deal because like I'm cheap. So I was looking, and then this lady comes up and like starts suggesting, tells me like, oh, this one has a sale if you buy it. I'm like, I know, that's what I'm literally staring at. And then she starts like suggesting things. I had like earphones in, so I just like I just didn't respond to her. And then like she walks away, and then like 5 minutes later another lady comes. So I take like 5 years to decide things in the supermarket. So I was there for a while, and then like 5 minutes later, this other lady comes and she starts like grabbing different ones and like handing them to me, and I'm just like, you don't know what I want, you don't know what I like. Why are you why are you handing me things? And then and eventually like I like ignored her again. And eventually she walks away, and then 5 minutes later, another lady comes, and then she just starts like pointing at different things, telling me the benefits and the good things about them, and I'm just like, how do you know what I want? Stop telling me. I'm trying to decide between different things because I don't know if I want to have like something with chicken, if I want something with beef. That's what I'm trying to decide. It's so something that like I get really like heated up by it, but then at the same time like I can't blame them for it, so I try not to like show my anger at them. I just like go home and just like vent it into my cooking. But I went on way too long about that, but yeah, I'm really not gonna miss that. So I'm looking forward to being able to shop in peace in a supermarket in Australia. But yeah, I'm just gonna end it there because that went way too long. I'll try to keep updated with whatever's going on with me. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.